When you think about projecting power, you often picture things on the ground, right?
Yeah.
Tanks,
Mm.
troops, maybe ships.
Sure, the visible hardware.
Exactly. But there's this whole other dimension, mastery in the air. And the Pakistan Air Force, the PAF, well, it's always been this really potent symbol. National pride, sure,
Hmm.
but also a genuinely formidable force up there.
Absolutely. And at the absolute core of any Air Force, the real capability, it comes down to the pilots. Their skill, their commitment. They're the sharp end.
That's exactly where we're diving in today. We got some really interesting material here that gives us a pretty direct look into the stories, the legacies of some of the PAF's most celebrated aviators.
Right.
So if you ever sort of wondered what makes a pilot truly exceptional, the dedication involved,
Yeah.
this is definitely for you.
It really is. And look, picking a single best pilot, that's always going to be subjective, isn't it? But our sources, they definitely highlight certain individuals, people whose impact, whose achievements are just, well, undeniable. So the mission for this deep dive really is to unpack their journeys.
Yeah.
We want to pull out the key insights, their training, which sounds incredibly tough, their roles in critical conflicts, and even how they contributed to pushing aviation tech forward.
Okay, let's get into that. The source material hammers this home.
Mm-hmm.
The foundation, the bedrock of PAF excellence is this incredibly rigorous training, super high standards.
Mm.
And it's way more than just, handling the controls. It's deep technical know-how, leadership, making those split-second calls under crazy pressure, and, well, they call it spirit, that vital spark.
Yeah, that intangible quality. And you can really see how that whole intense process is designed to just forge real expertise.
What's striking is how this focus on tough training, it seems to run right through PAF history.
It does. The source brings up Air Marshal Asghar Khan. He was the first Pakistani commander-in-chief of the PAF.
Right, the first one.
And yeah, his later career was more about leadership, big picture stuff. But you can't forget his early flying skills, and maybe even more critical, his vision. He had a vision for what the PAF should be, and that was just instrumental in setting up that initial culture. Professionalism, excellence. He set the bar.
He set the benchmark. Okay, so
Yeah.
you've got this foundation. Tough training, strong early leadership. Then, well, history happens.
Yeah.
Conflict.
Unfortunately.
And the source points to the wars with India, 65 and 71, as these real proving grounds, times when PAF pilots were truly tested, and you get these incredible stories of heroism.
Yeah, crucible moments.
And this is where it's really interesting. There's one name that just keeps coming up again and again. Squadron leader Mohammed Mahmoud Alam.
MMLA.
He is, without a doubt, a legend in PAF lore. The source goes into his famous reported action on September 7th, 1965.
Tell us about that.
He's credited with shooting down 5 Indian Air Force Hawker Hunter aircraft in one single sortie.
5. In one go. 5. And what's really insightful, beyond just the number, is what it implied about air combat back then. That level of aggression, reaction speed, maybe it wasn't fully grasped before. And the claim is 4 of those kills were within a minute.
Within 1 minute. That's hard to even process.
Astonishing, frankly. That kind of speed, that accuracy in the thick of it, it's almost unbelievable.
And for that, the source says, he got the Satara-e-Jarrah, a major military honor.
A very high one, yes. Now, it's important, and the source does acknowledge this, that the precise details, the exact kill count from that specific fight, have been discussed and debated over the years.
Okay, so there's some historical debate.
There is. But even with that acknowledged, his undeniable skill, his aggressive tactics in the cockpit, that's what cemented him as a true PAF icon, no question.
Right. It's the overall story of skill and bravery that stands out. Then the source brings in another key figure from 65, Wing Commander Cecil Chaudhry.
Yes, Cecil Chaudhry, highlighted as a flight leader, known for exceptional courage, but also really sharp tactical thinking.
So not just bravery, but brains too.
Exactly. The insight here is his ability to stay cool, make smart tactical calls, even when, apparently, they were heavily outnumbered. That's crucial in air combat command.
Right. The source really paints this picture. Facing superior numbers, but his leadership, his maneuvering, his sheer determination helped clinch successes for the PAF, leading under intense pressure.
And like Alam, Chaudhry also received the Satara-e-Jarrah for gallantry, for leadership.
Okay.
But what's also really significant, and the source points this out, is his later role. He became a respected instructor.
Passing it on.
Precisely. Connecting those wartime lessons, those high standards, directly to training the next generation of PAF pilots. That's legacy building right there.
So incredible stories from 65. The source then shifts focus a bit, moves to the 1971 war, and introduces Flight Lieutenant Matur Rahman.
Yes, Matur Rahman. Now, his story is, well, it's complex. The source handles it carefully. It's tragically tied to an attempted defection with a PAF jet.
Okay, that sounds complicated.
It is. And the source is nuanced about it, acknowledges the difficult situation. But it also makes sure to state that his flying skills, his dedication to training before that incident, were recognized within the PAF. His proficiency as a pilot wasn't in doubt.
Right, so his skill was acknowledged despite the later events.
Yeah.
That's an interesting shift the source makes then. It moves beyond pure combat stories.
Yeah, it does. It brings in another absolutely vital group, the test pilots. I found this part really insightful too.
Me too. Often overlooked, maybe.
Could be. But these are the pilots right at the cutting edge, aren't they? Evaluating new planes, integrating new tech. The key thing here is they're the bridge between flying and engineering.
Ah.
Their feedback directly shapes how new technology gets designed and used. And the source stresses this needs a unique blend of skills. You need to be an exceptional flyer, obviously, but also have this deep technical grasp of aerodynamics, of the complex systems inside these advanced aircraft.
Get a name here.
We do. Air Commodore Jamal Ahmed Khan. The source mentions his expertise with advanced aircraft and how he played a really instrumental role in shaping the PAF's modern capabilities. These are the guys pushing the envelope, technologically speaking.
So when you connect that to the bigger picture,
Mm-hmm.
the PAF's strength isn't just built on past battles.
Not at all. It's this constant cycle, isn't it? Adapting, advancing technologically. And the test pilots are right there at the forefront of that evolution.
Which brings us more towards the present day. The source is clear. The PAF is still producing exceptional pilots. They're carrying on that legacy.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes a good point. We might not know the names of current pilots, for security reasons, which makes sense.
Understandable, yeah.
But that underlying dedication, the skill, the professionalism, those remain the hallmarks of the force today.
And it raises that question, how do they keep those standards so high? The source points back to what we discussed earlier, those incredibly tough training programs.
Still foundation.
Absolutely. Plus, constantly adapting to how modern air warfare keeps changing. That's what ensures they maintain this cadre of highly capable aviators. It's not just resting on laurels, it's an ongoing thing.
So as we kind of start to land this deep dive, the source circles back to a really crucial point, defining best. It's subjective, ultimately.
Always is.
And it reminds us, look, there are countless other PAF pilots throughout history who showed amazing qualities, even if their specific stories aren't as widely known.
That collective aspect is so important. The source is right to emphasize that. Every single pilot who earns their wings, they've contributed to building that legacy.
Right.
It's the sum total,
Yeah.
Their efforts in peacetime, in conflict, that's what shaped the PAF into the respected air arm it is today.
So wrapping this up, it feels like these stories, these exceptional PAF pilots, whether it's the legends like Alum or the crucial work of test pilots like Khan, they're genuinely inspirational, aren't they?
Definitely.
For anyone, really, who's striving for excellence in whatever they do. These tales of courage, professionalism, that unwavering commitment, they really resonate.
They absolutely do. They embody values that go way beyond just flying planes. And like the source says, their sacrifices, their achievements, they're etched into PAF history. A powerful testament.
Okay, so here's a final thought maybe for you, the listener, to chew on. We've talked about these very visible pilots, but think about the other roles, maybe less visible ones. In military or high-tech fields, who else is absolutely fundamental to a nation's strength, its technological edge?
Good question. You mean like the engineers, the technicians on the ground?
Exactly. Or the intelligence analysts, the strategic planners, all those people behind the scenes. The sort of unsung heroes whose contributions are just as vital to that overall capability. Something to think about.